And welcome back. How are we all getting on?
Doing good. How you getting on, Brandon?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's a pleasure.
Good to finally have you on the podcast. We've spent a while trying to get this to happen. You know, we've interviewed other people from your team, so, you know, glad you're here. So for anyone who doesn't know you, how about you introduce yourself?
My name is Brandon Alvis. I'm the paranormal technician of A&E's Ghost Hunters. I'm also the founder of the American Paranormal Research Association, and now the host of Formula of a Haunting with Mustafa Gadalari, and that kind of goes hand in hand with our upcoming book. So we're very excited.
And I actually didn't know about this. The second one. Could you tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so Formula of a Haunting is actually going back and looking at case logs that I've been conducting since 2006. And we're showing the ethics, the standards, and the protocols associated with paranormal investigation and what works and what does not work. And so what we say is science is scary and sensationalism is not. So a lot of times with the shows, you see a lot of sensationalism, you see a lot of false positives and entertainment value. We wanted to kind of strip that away and show almost the more boring side of the paranormal investigation aspect. So it's been a lot of fun, and people have liked it so far. We had a great write-up in popculture.com, and people are seeming to like it.
Well, awesome. That's what you want. It's definitely what you want. And yeah, we were having a chat earlier, and yeah, some of those shows really do, you know, they're not. There's nothing really going on there. Like when Who's Your Man from Ghost Adventure is challenging a ghost to a bare knuckle fight. You know, it's definitely weird.
Yeah, it's weird, very weird.
Yeah, but you know, you're a technician, so obviously you're looking at the more scientific side. How convinced are you that, you know, that there's something there when it comes to paranormal activity?
You know, I'm a huge skeptic, a natural skeptic. But, you know, a lot of times when people throw around the term skeptic, they're actually non-believers. You know, a skeptic is someone that wants to find evidence or proof that the phenomena exists. But a lot of times people that call themselves skeptics are biased and they just don't believe. So they're not really looking for answers. They already have a preconceived, you know, idea of what they believe. So I'm definitely skeptical. You know, I've done over 200 investigations. I've been all around this country, 49 states, looking for the paranormal, and I've had a handful of experiences that I can say is truly unexplainable.
And you know, what do you attribute it to? Like, what do you think is causing the phenomenon?
Well, you know, I'm very lucky. You know, since 2006, starting APRA, I've been able to work with some of the most brilliant scientists, medical doctors, engineers. I work with a man named Dr. Harry Clore, and he's the only person in history to receive 2 PhDs simultaneously in any discipline. So I've been lucky to have people I can consult from a scientific aspect that can help me prove or disprove what people believe to be paranormal phenomena. So I think that there could very well be a natural explanation to what we are experiencing. Similar to what happens in space with black holes and black hole theory with pressure changes and all this anomalous activity, photon events. We're seeing some of that here on Earth in locations that are said to be haunted. So maybe it's a very natural explanation that we just can't explain by science yet. But as technology grows and the more that we have you know, technology readily available, maybe we can find that natural explanation.
We talked about it with I think it was Brian and Rochelle, and they said places usually have a lot to do with history, with like paranormal activity. History has a big part to play into it.
Absolutely, history goes hand in hand, and that's one thing Mustafa and I always say. We're always looking for the formula of a haunting, and that's why we're doing the new show and the book. Is that there is a certain set of parameters that we're seeing, right? Not only from the history, but to the environmental conditions and the data we're collecting, that there's a formula to it. And there's something going on in these locations throughout the world that people, you know, perceive to be hauntings or ghosts. But as we collect more data and we analyze that data, hopefully we'll have more answers.
Well, you know, here rooting for you. You know, always been interested in, like, you know, kind of mysterious stuff that, you know, we would consider to be pseudoscience or just not real. You know, wouldn't be too big into Bigfoot, in fairness. But, you know, paranormal, a little bit interested, if you couldn't tell, viewer, from how many people we've interviewed. You know, like we had Shannon Sylvia on before. She had a crazy story of, like, when she was growing up in a haunted place, and Mustafa had something similar. He grew up with a djinn in the house. Yeah. we talked about it more in a religious sense when he was here, because like, in the Islamic religion, there's an explanation for ghosts like jinns, but in Christianity, like they're just not. There's nothing mentioning them, like they're not supposed to be a thing. So it's kind of interesting how like different cultures come up with explanations for it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, going back to the history part, a lot of civil war battlegrounds seem to be very haunted in the States. Probably more haunted than anywhere else in the world. You've had a few experiences there, haven't you?
Oh yeah, Gettysburg being one of them. I've been very lucky to actually. One second, guys. I'm getting a. There we go. You guys lose me there. Am I back?
Yeah, you're
back.
Sorry about that, guys. Gettysburg being a location I've investigated for many years. I've been very lucky to actually go to a lot of Civil War sites, all throughout the country. But yeah, there's a common phenomena associated with these locations. It's possibly because of all the death associated with the history. The brother versus brother aspect, the emotional aspect, dying for something that you believed in so much. But yeah, again, it always goes back to history. That's always the very first part of the formula of a haunting. That history has to be there before we go out and collect data and try and find a natural explanation or try and find data associated with something we can't explain.
And do you think there's other factors that play into it as well? Or does it solely just based on history?
No, I think there's a lot of environmental factors associated with it. One thing that we started noticing in season 2 of Ghost Hunters was that there were always pressure changes in the environment in these locations that we were investigating. And we started to make a correlation between these pressure changes and photon events. I was very lucky to have this very sensitive piece of scientific equipment. It's called an EMCCD camera, and it's built by the digital imaging scientific community to record single photon events. And we started to see a correlation between recording these photon events in locations and then pressure changes at the exact same time.
And for anyone who doesn't know, what is a photon event?
It's light. Photons are light, and mainly, you can see them on Earth. Some people actually have extra protein in their eyes that allows them to see them with their naked eye, which is interesting. But a lot of studies in space with photon events, especially in black holes and black hole theory, and that's one thing that Mustafa and I always look at because the brilliant mathematician Sir Penrose, he talks about black hole theory and he talks about photon events and pressure in black holes, and we're seeing that same correlation here on Earth in said haunted locations. So it's something we're looking into, and we find it to be very interesting.
How crazy would that be? Ghosts, yeah, they're black holes, or they're related to black holes.
That would be interesting. Yeah, the same phenomena in space taking place here on Earth. That would be a huge breakthrough for sure.
That'd be semi-terrifying. Yeah, but completely. I don't know what's scary, the idea of a ghost or like a black hole.
Right.
Yeah, but like, what's your own personal theory on what it is?
It's tough. I like to look at it from the point of view that energy is neither created nor destroyed, right? And we are made up of energy. We have, energy and the circuitry in our brain going at all times. Where does that energy go? Energy go when we die, one, and two, does it retain consciousness? That's the big question. I mean, some of the most brilliant scientists that ever existed, Einstein, Newton, Tesla, were all deeply religious people that actually believed in an afterlife. And they're the ones that came up with these theories. And I think that they were always trying to find that correlation. So to me, I think it's very possible that that energy somehow stays around and it may very well retain consciousness.
I guess it's an interesting idea. But yeah, no,
it's also terrifying. Like there's the possibility that when you die, it's terrifying. I don't like that. I don't like thinking of the afterlife because it just kind of gets you bummed out sometimes.
Oh yeah.
But it's what you guys are dealing with, which is kind of weird. But yeah, no, you have to admit, like, what you're doing isn't the most standard career, the most standard hobby. It is really unique, especially you guys. And one thing I noticed is like you all got on very well. You were having a good time. You know, you just need to look at Brian and Rochelle to see it, or yourself, Mustafa. It's a good relationship your team has. But I know, like, moving forward, you're just doing some with Mustafa at the moment. And who was involved in the book?
Mustafa and I.
Just
We're
pair of
actually
you?
co-writing it. Yeah, we're co-writing the book, and very excited. It'll be released and published through Llewellyn Worldwide, one of my favorite publishers. Almost every piece of literature about ghosts and hauntings that I've ever read was published by Llewellyn, so it's really an honor to be able to publish this book with them. And with the book, what's interesting is we're taking it outside of just the ghost stories, right? We're talking about the science aspect of it, the ethics, the standards, the protocols, and what has really worked for us to collect empirical evidence and data that we cannot explain, and that our consultants that can't explain either. So it's really nice to lay that out and show people what's worked for us, especially not having an explanation for these locations.
And what are the ethics involved with it? Like, I would think, oh, it's an old property, or it's an old blah blah blah. We take a look for anything weird and we go home. Like, what's the ethics there?
Well, the ethics, have to do with more how we conduct ourselves in the investigation, right? So, for instance, if we're looking at this from the standpoint that these are people that once lived and somehow are retaining consciousness and in these spaces, haunting them, we want to go in there and treat these people with respect. We want to know their culture, the way they conducted themselves during their life. We want to make sure we understand who these people were, instead of going in, like with a lot of the shows, just yelling and running around in the dark without
challenging them to fights and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We want to make sure that we have the best understanding possible of these people, and knowing what time frame they came from, what their culture was like, and who they were. And we want to show the utmost respect for these people, and I think that really goes a long way in collecting evidence.
How fucking stupid does that sound? It's challenging a ghost to a fight.
Who was that guy? I looked it up now. Who was that guy?
Like, oh my god, man! Like, I wouldn't say it's unbelievable, because like we're living in 2021 now, but like it.
It's definitely weird, that's for sure. That's the entertainment side of it. That's one thing that we're very lucky with ghost hunters. We don't do that. That's not the way we conduct ourselves. But unfortunately, you see a lot more in the TV landscape, and that kind of trickles down in a way where you have hobbyists and investigators all throughout the world that see these shows and they just mimic that, and they go out and put themselves in these situations a lot of times that can be really dangerous, because you're at a client's home. There's a family that's terrified. You're trying to help them, and then this is what you're doing to try and help them. It can be very dangerous, for sure.
And would you ever watch these like mimicking shows, and would you just automatically know whether it was real or fake? Like, you can tell whether it's put on. Yeah, you can.
Oh, absolutely. Not only from the technology that they're using, but just the way they conduct themselves. But especially the technology, because a lot of these devices are strictly for entertainment purposes only. They have no scientific properties to them at all. They're not even trying to collect data. They're just trying to fulfill their own beliefs, which is not good. I mean, it's one thing to be what I call like a paratourist, and a hobbyist, but it's another thing to try and advance the field, step out of the shadow of pseudoscience and really bring in third parties from technical industry, scientists, engineers, medical doctors that can really help us understand what's natural and not natural. And you don't see any of that in the TV landscape, unfortunately, which I think is funny, because, I think that's far more entertaining, that process, and bringing in these very intelligent, bright people that aren't involved in the field. I think that's far more entertaining.
Yeah. We had a conversation beforehand about, I don't know what they're actually called, spirit boxes. Yeah. Like, I don't know how those would work if, I don't know. Like, they're just flickering through radio stations at a rapid pace, and eventually you might hear a noise that sounds like a word. And then the problem with that is you have to interpret it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, everything that's out there for the use of paranormal investigation, all the tools that are what we call garage tech, these devices that are built specifically for investigating, I always have those tested and looked at by a third party, someone that's an expert in the technology. So for instance, if I was to take a spirit box recording, which is just scanning radio frequencies, to an audio engineer, and that audio engineer was to take that into a spectrum analysis and break it down by frequencies, it's purely contaminated data. There's no data there because it's all radio frequencies. And that's obviously, and there's radio frequencies everywhere, cell phone frequencies everywhere. So anytime we record audio, we want to use the best recording devices possible. the highest bit rates, the most data, and then have that analyzed through spectrum analysis, because you can tell, is it radio frequencies, cell phone frequencies, is it something natural, or man-made? So that's one thing with the spirit box, cannot be taken credibly, because unfortunately it's just scanning radio frequencies.
Yeah, that would be my main criticism to places like BuzzFeed, who do those little investigations, and they use those things. There's a lot of criticism for BuzzFeed in the first place, but that's just on the ghost hunting one, you know. But yeah, dude, it's weird. And like other stuff you're dealing with, like the one I find most credible is the pressure change. Because, okay, well, what would really change the pressure of an area if no one's there? If there's no external force, how is that going to happen? You know, what else would be up there on the same tier of that kind of evidence?
Well, you know, to me, it's always about, you know, monitoring the environmental conditions with the location. So you go in, you record everything from EMF, temperature, pressure, humidity, vibration, everything you can, and monitoring that throughout the entire investigation on a time code. So you have multiple devices correlating together. But there's something to do with these environmental changes when, you know, what we perceive to be paranormal events take place. And that's something we're looking at. And I'm working with Dr. Harry Clore and Mustafa on, is that what's causing this? Is it something natural? Is it something we can't explain? But at this moment, we see a huge correlation between photon events, which are these light events that are typically not seen by the human eye, and pressure changes. And they go hand in hand. And that's the same type of research they have with black holes, like we talked about earlier. So there's definitely something to that. And there's no one really doing that research in the field. We're really the first ones to do that. And we're calling it the paranormal photon theory, because there's something with it. You know, I went to Dr. Clore and I asked him, I said, from your scientific opinion, if ghosts were real, or what, you know, people perceive to be ghosts were real, what would be the mechanics of that? What would be the material? And he threw out the theory of photon events. And we've had, I think, 5 or 6 successful images and data that we've collected that to this day we cannot explain. Happened in Fort Stanton, New Mexico. We had it in Clifton, Arizona, Haines, Alaska, as well as what was the other location? Galena, Illinois. So, and also we started to see the pressure changes. So very interesting.
Yeah. Well, my camera's gone.
I don't know where it's an improvement.
You cheeky little bollocks.
No, that's really scary that there's a correlation between ghosts and black holes. Like, you know,
Yeah,
one
weird.
day you're gonna see a ghost, and next thing you know, everything just starts
sucked away.
Right. And that's one thing, you know, that people throw out there. Is it possibly interdimensional, right? Is there some strange interdimensional phenomena going on that's really not ghosts at all? Maybe it's not what we think it is, and it's a purely scientific anomaly that's happening. And that's what's so exciting about research to me. It's goes beyond the aspect of, you know, the history, which is amazing. I'm a huge history buff, so that's always something that's exciting within itself. But if you look at the scientific advancement of it, that's what's very fascinating. You have research of the ocean, you have research of space, and I think that life after death is that final frontier.
Dude, that went from 0 to 100 like in a sentence. like after death, that whoa. Yeah. Dude.
You're probably right. There probably isn't like that much research done into what happens after you die. Like everybody, we know what happened, like different beliefs and everything, but
your audio cut out for a big part of that sentence.
I said there's probably not much research done into, like, you know, what happens after death to conscious and paranormal activities like that. I don't know though.
Like I've seen people like do it where like they wait while you die, and like there's a difference in weight or something, and I say that's a soul. I'm not sure. I don't know how much I believe that. Like how much does my soul weigh? I really wonder.
Exactly.
But yeah, like I don't know if you could do something like that. Like what else could cause the weight loss, a sudden weight loss, like that? Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's a lot of variables to that, and it would be really tough to really control that and have an understanding. But you know, I think that there are, you know, with the advancement of technology, again, there's so many devices that are used for other scientific purposes that have really not been utilized in this space, right? In paranormal research. And I think that's one thing that Mustafa and I have been doing a lot, is taking those devices that are built for scientific purposes, working with Dr. Clore and utilizing it in haunted locations. And that's going to give us far more evidence and data than walking around with spirit boxes screaming in the dark. So
yeah, which is definitely a weird thing when you see it. Well, it's literally what it is. I love watching some of the some YouTubers do it, and that's literally what they're doing. Yeah. Or every now and then they catch a shadow and like hyperanalyze it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they have so many different infrared, infrared shadowing, things like that, and that's a huge thing that needs to be done in this field and in this space, is understanding how the equipment works before you go out and try to utilize it to capture unexplained phenomena. So a lot of times, 99.9% of the time, it's going to be completely explainable and natural.
Yeah. If we were to get some some examples, do you think we could power through them?
Oh yeah.
Like so yeah. You want to pause the recording, Thomas? We'll get some
of I think I can pause it. Yeah. Right, back.
All right, we're back. Yeah, it took a while for us to find them. We're gonna go ahead and take a look. I think this shit is stupid, the 3 a.m. videos, but anyway, here's the one that Brandon said that we should take a look at. You guys can hear it, right?
No.
You'll see it right here when we go down this. This is actually the first class pool, which is a very historical point, which is great. But once you see what we get in these changing stalls, it's unbelievable. Be on the right hand side. Nothing there, and then right there.
It's almost like it just fell in there. What?
Yeah, exactly. That's what makes it so strange.
Oh, what the fuck?
I need to go back and look. Nothing. Drop.
Yeah, it's like literally within a second, not even a full second. It just comes out of nowhere, and it looks like it slides down the wall almost, which is very, very strange. And it looks like a torso, right? And it's almost like the torso is like halfway in the ground, which is even stranger.
Yeah, sinking down, bang. And you can see it's very humanoid. Dude, that's weird.
And this is the first class pool at the RMS Queen Mary, which is, historically very significant, not only, being an ocean liner for many years, but in World War II, it was used as a passenger ship, a troop passenger ship. And actually Hitler was offering any U-boat $1 million to sink it. They had that many troops on there, and it was that big of a point of interest. But for many years, they've said that there's this little girl that haunts the first class pool. And we captured that image in 2008. And to this day, we've yet to be able to find a natural explanation for it.
Now, there's other ones in here. What should I take a look at?
You can go down to all videos. There's some EVP clips that you'll be able to see that are probably pretty short ones.
Can you guys hear? Could you hear the audio in that thing?
We couldn't, but it's fine.
No,
it's fine. We don't need audio.
If you can't hear the EVP, then that won't really make sense.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. Okay, that's a shame.
Did that actually
visually though? That's sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, did it actually say stop looking at me? Because that is, oh man.
Yeah. We have some really good EVP. I mean, visual phenomena.
It said stop looking at me.
Yeah.
I need to go back on that one. Hold on.
Oh no, not in that particular clip. It's another EVP from another location.
No, that is.
Dude, do you know? Is it one of these?
Yeah, it's right there. There, Jared, right there. See it at the very top there. Go back up a little bit, and it's the EVP. Stop looking at me. Right, you just scroll past it. Right there. Right. Look right underneath.
Oh, there we go.
There we are. There might be a setting to share your audio, Jared. When I don't know if there's.
Say that again.
There might be a setting to share your audio or something, so we might be able to hear it.
Well, I can't because I'm on the browser version. Do you want to give it a go if I send you the link?
Sure.
Okay.
We'll give it a go anyway.
Boop. copy, paste, and I sent it to you there.
Thank you, Jared.
Now, that was kind of spooky, but something saying stop looking at me, that's just terrifying.
You know what's
Because
even
it's just
stranger
this
about that?
human thing about it, and it makes you look like the bad one, you know?
Right, exactly.
Like,
You know, what's weird
what are
about
you
that
in
is,
her view?
right, we actually had like multiple cameras that malfunctioned at the same exact time, and they're on separate battery sources, so it really made no sense as to why they at the exact same moment shut down. And I turned the camera back on and hit record, and you very clearly hear a voice say, "Stop looking at me," right after the cameras just died, unexplainably. So, yeah,
Yeah,
very
it's
interesting correlation.
freaky.
It's just loading now. Give me a second. Sorry.
But yeah, that one on the Queen Mary, that was pretty damn scary. Jeez, I love other opinions on that as well. Like, if I knew about that, I would have asked everyone on your team about that, especially Mustafa, because like yourself, he's very into the sciencey part of it.
Absolutely, yeah, it's something that him and I have looked at many times over the years. You know, working together on Ghost Hunters, and I showed him that clip actually. I think the first day we worked with each other, and that is something that to this day we can't explain. First off, but second off, it's almost that holy grail moment. You know what I mean? Finding something that truly can't be explained at this point. I've actually gone back multiple times with scientists and engineers to the exact same stall, and we cannot find any kind of explanation for it at all. We thought maybe it could be pareidolia, maybe it's our mind playing a trick on us, but there's nothing in that stall that would create that image, especially within half a second like that.
And in analyzing the video, was there any evidence like it could have been tampered with, like in the transition?
No, it's funny. I actually shot that video in 2008. And it was from
it was you.
A DV tape. Yeah, on a DV tape. And we transferred it to digital, obviously, to analyze it further, but it's also been analyzed on the tape itself. So, we're always open to that third-party scrutiny and having people try and find a natural explanation. So it's been looked at by many professionals, and to this day, we still don't have an explanation.
Well,
I do a lot of our editing, and I'd like to believe I'd be able to tell if I ever looked at something like that.
Can you hear it?
No, sir.
Oh, that's depressing.
Okay, that failed.
All right, never mind. My bad, everybody.
Okay, well, yeah, that first one was definitely a bit freaky. I might take a look. Is there any more ones like that are just a video version shot by yourself?
No, I don't have anything like that at all. It's a very unique situation to be in. Again, I've been doing this for 16 years, and that particular footage that you just saw and one other image we collected at Fort Stanton, New Mexico, are the only two that I can say are completely unexplainable, first off, and second off, they almost have a humanoid nature to them, which is even more interesting. So
almost
only two,
it was terrifyingly human.
So only 2 clips out of 16 years. So I think that's a good thing, though.
I suppose it is, yeah. All right, I'm gonna try to find something or find one, and Thomas, entertain.
Hello, I'm here to entertain. But no, 2 and 16 years. That's I don't know. It seems like how many would you have a rough estimate of how many you've actually done over the span of 16 years? As in, probably not.
Yeah, it's well over 200 locations. Well over 200 investigations throughout 16 years. And again, it's very rare to find something that we can't explain, especially from a third party standpoint, opening ourselves up to that scientific scrutiny. So that's I think that makes it more realistic, right? You have these shows that go out there and every single location they go to is haunted. Every single one. That's highly improbable, first off. And second off, they don't open themselves up to that scientific scrutiny or that third party scrutiny. And that's how it's for entertainment purposes only, and that they're really not taking the research seriously.
I remember there was this internet show I used to watch where these 2 guys used to go looking for ghosts, and on the very first episode, like a window smashed or something, and they couldn't explain it, and the camera shut off just at the the right time, so they couldn't. So the recording was messed up, and and what were they doing in the house? 2 of them were just like
acting the maggot, really. They were acting the fool in the house, trying to piss off if there was something there, which I don't think there was. But you can just tell you seem very genuine about like wanting to do this for the right reasons and to actually scientifically prove that there's something here, where people just want the clicks and, oh, look, I found a ghost kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something, and literally it's all the most clickbaity stuff possible. Like, I'm looking at one right now. It's so stupid. Top 5 ghost videos caught on TikTok, and it's a guy sitting up in bed. No joke. I'll share my
TikTok.
screen.
Yeah, there's a lot
for
of
the
those now.
stupidity. Look how dumb this is. Because I tried to get an example of a jinn. Look at this. This guy right here.
Oh man.
He's just sitting up in bed.
I always
I
love
found a
the
ghost.
big red arrow too. They always have a big circle or a big red arrow
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
It's like always. That's how you know it's not legit.
Jesus Christ, you're right. Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God, they're
That's
in
a
everything.
dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. You know it's fake.
Yeah.
Look,
Shout
this
out to
guy's
Nuke's Top
crying.
5. I've seen that one. He normally comes up with some great stuff, the Nuke guy, but I don't know.
Or is that
In the
red
end of the
arrow in
day-
the circle?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen that image be photoshopped into everything.
Mhm.
Don't know. I'll skip for now. I've seen this one. That one was pretty cool. All right. That didn't go as planned. But shut up. So what? And like you said earlier, there's only like 2 times you've been like properly convinced. Was that a scary experience for you? The Queen Mary experience. Like, did you see that on camera at the time, or did you see it afterwards? And what was your
After the fact.
feelings?
Yeah, it was actually what's interesting about that footage. It was after the fact, actually a couple months later, that we actually analyzed the footage and looked it over, because I was down there with another investigator and a security guard around 2:30, almost 3 in the morning around that time. The only reason we go down there is not because of the time. There's not really a time associated with heightened activity or anything like that, but it's to control the contamination as much as possible, right? Controlling the environment and keeping it
Make
as
sure no one's
quiet as
there.
possible. Yeah, exactly. And so I was teaching this other investigator how to properly conduct an EMF sweep, and I gave her the camera, and she had no idea the camera was even on. And lo and behold, this image showed up. And I think that there's something to do with that. In physics and in quantum physics, there's an experiment called the double slit experiment. And what happens in the double slit experiment is that once you start sending matter through these slits and these slots, if there's an observer there, it takes place differently if there's not an observer. So
Yeah,
I think that
like the cat in the
there's
box.
yeah, exactly. I think there's possibly something to do with the fact that the person actually maintaining the camera and using the camera had no idea it was on. I think that there's probably a correlation between capturing that image and the operator not knowing the camera was actually on.
Probably.
Yeah, man, quantum physics is crazy, and if you start throwing it into the paranormal, it's gonna get even crazier.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Also,
Like,
you
actually-
mentioned it. Wonder.
Go on.
No,
No,
please.
go ahead.
No,
Oh,
after you.
please.
No,
After
please.
you.
I insist.
Okay, fine. No, I was looking at quantum computers because big computer guy, because mine's terrible, and just like how they function in comparison to like standards, absolutely insane. Yeah, the quantum stuff is crazy. Like, you ever seen Ant-Man?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Thomas, what were you saying?
I was going to say, yeah, you brought up this thing that there's not a specific time where ghosts come out. Now, I really want to hone in on that point, because there seems to be this very big misconception on the internet that at 3 a.m., and I don't know why it's at 3 a.m., because like, it's like, really think, if you want to really get into it, time doesn't exist, people, right? We're just going around the sun, okay?
Exactly.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me again.
I think they always do that, and the big misconception there is the fact that they associate it with what people refer to as the witching hour or whatever that may be. It's very superstitious, you know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to. But if this phenomena is real and it's taking place, it's going to happen at any given time, any given place. It's not going to be associated with one particular hour, and it's definitely not going to be associated with one particular location. Yes, some locations may have more activity than others, but if the phenomenon is real, we should be able to document it with a scientific instrument at any given time, and that's what we're definitely trying to do.
Yeah. I really wish I could pull up more supposed evidence right now, but I'm really having a hard time. It is seriously terrible, some of the stuff I'm seeing. Yeah. It's literally like you said, it's big circle arrow. It's one or the other everywhere. And it's like
you said,
images you've
perfect
seen
clickbait.
before.
Yep, perfect clickbait. It's the easiest way to get someone interested in that clip. You know what I mean? So,
Or there's like people faking possessions, or is that what you call them?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's very common. That's another thing. That goes into the religious side of the field, that's a whole another can of worms. There's people looking at it from a religious perspective, which everyone has their beliefs and thought system. That's not a problem. But when you start to bring that in heavily into the research side of things, it's definitely going to be convoluted, right? And it's going to be have these huge religious overtones that are really going to make people believe what they already believe. It's already biased, so that could be tough as well.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of shitting on religion these days.
Oh yeah,
which is kind of weird. But yeah, I guess you need to look at these things from a more scientific standpoint. Like if you really want to prove it, it's not going to be like the Bible said it kind of thing. It's okay. Well, pressure difference, googly boogly. I don't know. You know the science. I just. So yeah, but besides those images, what would be, I guess, the other most realistic evidence you ever found?
It has to be in Fort Stanton, New Mexico, when myself and Brian Murray were in a federal tuberculosis hospital at Fort Stanton, and we collected this amazing photon event with the EMCCD camera that very much resembled what looked like a female nurse peeking out of a door frame. And what's really strange about that footage is that these photon events are, again, light events that usually take place on their own, singular events. But somehow at this moment, we collected multiple photon events coming together to create one image that was very humanoid and actually looked of the time period of the nurses in the 30s. And that's really spooky to this day, especially because we had these eyewitnesses that were there that worked for the state park system of New Mexico. So these are very, very credible people that, are not using drugs, or they're not, consuming a lot of alcohol, that could be very well trusted. And they claim to see this apparition all the time. And we ended up actually collecting it on this very sensitive scientific piece of equipment. And that's actually very exciting. And that's something that really, takes it to the next level. But going back to like the religion side of things and thinking about science and religion, like we talked about, Isaac Newton, Einstein, Tesla, these are very religious people. And I think that not only did they believe, but I believe as well that I think science and religion can go hand in hand. I know Newton really believed that. He even at one point tried to decode the Bible through mathematics, which is really interesting. So
how far did he get?
He got a lot of research. There's actually some really great documentaries out there about it. And he was actually predicting events associated with certain Bible passages and actually through mathematics, which is really interesting. So I think science and religion can go hand in hand in some ways. And I think that can make, research a lot more interesting for sure.
I did not know about Tesla. That is, that's a weird one right there. Newton, why do you think Tesla? I see both your faces and I was like, oh shit. Newton, yeah.
I didn't know he did Tesla. That with the Bible. That decode the Bible, like that just sounds, wow, that's mad.
I think he was not liked at the time for that.
Oh no. I think it was History Channel at the time. They did an amazing series on it. I think it was like a 3 or 4 part series. And like they actually have original documents that he was writing down and decoding. It was really, really interesting stuff. And he actually predicted a few events. Can't remember exactly which events they were and what time they happened, but he was breaking it down through math, which is highly fascinating. I think that's something that's really, really intriguing.
I'm gonna look that documentary up because that sounds really
that sounds pretty cool.
Interesting. Wow.
But look, we've taken up enough of your time today, Brandon. I'm glad we got to have this conversation. Unfortunately, we didn't come prepared with enough evidence. Hopefully, we can do it again sometime, maybe with yourself and Mustafa. Is the book out already?
No, it'll be about actually this year. I think September around then. That'd be great to come back on with him.
Maybe we could have these in September. So that might be an experience. So yeah, Brandon, if people want to check you out, where can they find you?
You can find anything on brandonjalvis.com. Any link I have there on my social media, whatever we're working on, is right there on my site.
Well, there you go. Cool. You know where to find them.
Nice.
I guess any last message towards any skeptics like yourself?
I would say, science is the way, right? Especially in this field. I think that we have to do our best to step out of the shadow of pseudoscience, get away from the entertainment and sensationalism, and really open ourselves up to that third-party scrutiny, really allowing professionals from various technical industries to come in and look at our data and look at the way we conduct ourselves and really guide us. And I think one day we might have answers.
Well, you're hoping.
Hoping for the day. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks anyone who was listening or watching and got this far.
Yeah.
And as we say, take it handy. Top of the morning, lads and ladies. Support for the Awfully Irish podcast is now brought to you by Manscaped, who is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming.
Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels, and you're no longer need the look of the Irish with the ladies. Manscaped just launched in Ireland. We've gone years without using the right tools for the job. You can now be one of the first men in Ireland to experience their life-changing products.
Your balls will thank you.
Get 20% off and free shipping with the code IrishPod at manscaped.com.
That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code IrishPod.